and I'm going to give you a short message from the Holy Bible, which I believe is going to change your thinking, your view, and your level of faith. In the book of Exodus, chapter number 38, from verse 26, the Lord spoke to Moses, and as the Lord was speaking, he was asking Moses to collect money that will be used in the building of the Lord's house or the tabernacle. And it was a shekel per household, and the Bible says that about 603,000 households. Fast forward, Numbers chapter 11 from verse 21. Israel had demanded meat from God. And when they demanded meat from God, in chapter 11 verse 21 of Numbers, God said, I'm going to feed everyone with meat until it comes out of your nose. And Moses interjected and said to God, God, there are over 600,000 households, not people, over 600,000 households, family heads that are here. Now, where am I going? Moses said there are over 600,000 households. Where will we get the kind of meat that feeds all these people? What I'm just trying to give you is statistics that Israel had over 600,000 families. Now, in these statistics, in Exodus 12 from verse 3, God is now giving the last instruction for the Passover. Israel is about to leave Egypt, and they are about to pass over into the wilderness en route to the promised land, Canaan. And God said, I have one last plague, and after I unleashes that one, Pharaoh is going to let you go. And he said to every household, you kill a lamb, and you put the blood on your doorsteps. When I see the angel of God sees the blood on your door frames, he is going to pass over you. So everybody killed a lamb, and they spread blood on their doorposts. Every firstborn of Egypt was killed. And as we get into a transition between chapter 11 and chapter 12, in chapter 12, God says, kill a lamb, roast it with bitter leaves, don't put salt, then bake bread, unleavened bread, and I want you to eat. This shall be the ritual for the Passover that I deliver you from Egypt today. So coming from chapter 11 and chapter 12, I want to show you two things. Each household killed a lamb, and they used the blood as a shield. Each household killed a lamb, and they ate the food without salt and without leaven. If there was over 600,000 households in Egypt under Israel, that means on the night of the Passover, they killed over 600,000 lambs. And that means when the angel was massacring every firstborn of Egypt, he had to pass over each Israeli household because they had killed a lamb and used the blood on the doorsteps. Meaning, in that week, they killed about 1.2 million lambs. And if there is a lamb, there is always a mother. And if there is a mother to a lamb, that means there's a ram. So suppose they had 1.2 million mothers of the lambs that were killed. Suppose generalizing 1.2 million. This means these were 2.4 million animals. And if I'm to add on average of 600,000 rams, this is 3 million animals. So we are talking of 3 million animals quoting the list that Israel had. These slaves were rich. They were wealthy. They were filthy rich. In the last chapter of the book of Numbers, the Bible shows us that the Moabites had only over 100,000 sheep that they had. It was penury compared to Israel. So Israel were by far richer than a free nation when they were still slaves. They had millions of livestock as slaves than a free nation Moab that had only a couple of hundreds of thousands of sheep. And this is showing you that Israel did not even know that the blessing of Abraham was at work in their lives even when they were slaves. Israel had enough money to sponsor a civil war or a liberation struggle and liberate themselves from Egypt. They had enough wealth to fund their own freedom, but they didn't know it. Israel simply did not know how rich they were. And I want to tell you today, you have no idea how rich you are. There is somebody watching me, and your ultimate vision is to get any job that will give you any amount, yet you don't know your real value. God has put his grace in you that any institution you work in, things will flourish. God has put excellence in you. God has put beauty in you. God has beautified every level and every part of your life. You are a blessed person. But unfortunately, most blessed people, they don't know it. They only know it the day they meet people who they thought were better than them. There's somebody watching whose ultimate vision is to get a visa. That's the ultimate vision, ultimate ambition. But listen to me. There is something much better than that, and there is much more to that. What is it that is much more to that? God have you more blessed than many people that you admire. There are people who are watching me right now who for the next 3 to 5 decades, they will never step in a hospital for medication. There are some people watching me right now. In the next 3 to 5 decades, new viruses may come. Not even one of them will knock them out. New bacterial infections will come. Not even one of them will knock them out. They have the wealth of health. Wealth without health is not wealth. But there are people here who are so rich in health, who are so rich in longevity, who are going to live a long life. There are people right here who are so rich in children. God has given them fabulous children. They may sound or look like troublesome now, but come 2 decades later, in the time they become mature and independent, you may not even know that among your children you are carrying the next Minister of Finance in 2 to 3 decades to come. You may not even know you are carrying Miss Zimbabwe, Miss South Africa, Miss Universe. You don't even know that among your children, perhaps you have the greatest actor Africa has ever produced at all time. Maybe you have the next Snatch, you have the next Benjamin Dube, Dr. Tumi. You have the next Bishop Bismarck or the next Apostle Archbishop Guti. You may never know. You have the next Benny Hinn. When God is taking his time to answer, sometimes pause and check what you have. You might actually be having much more than you think. And you may actually be much better than other people you admire. There is somebody, you don't have that lofty level of a salary, but you have a good marriage. Do you know the blessing of being in a good marriage? Being with someone who values you, someone who loves you, someone who honors you, someone who respects you. So here is my word. God has given you much more than you think. And I pray that he opens your eyes and you'll be able to see. In 2 Kings chapter 6 and 7, Elisha has been surrounded by 80,000 soldiers, 80,000 strong, under King Ben-Hadad. They are coming for one man, and his old is 80. Then his servant Gehazi said, Master, 80,000 soldiers are marching, armed to the teeth, marching against you to kill you and me. And Elisha said, fear not. Them that are with us are more than them that are with them. Gehazi didn't understand. So Elisha prayed for Gehazi and said, God, I pray that his eyes may open and he may see. And the book says immediately he saw angels filling up the warm mountain. Angels, they were filling up the warm mountain. And they were more than the soldiers of King Ben-Hadad. Don't count your enemies and be scared because of how this and that is going to punish you and treat you badly, how this is going to go around destroying your reputation, how this is so notable in witchcraft. Don't count your enemies and get scared. Don't even get scared of demons and things like that, because there are more that are with you than them that are with your enemy. If you know the angels that are always flying above you, walking beside you with a direct mission only to make sure you're safeguarded, friend, you pray better. Friend, you will fast better. Friend, you change your list of prayer requests into worship and praise. This is my message to you. You do not know how much you have. But I pray today that God bless you. I pray today that God opens your eyes and you know that them that are with you are more than that are with the enemy. The disciples of Jesus Christ, they were asked by the Lord to feed people, 5,000 men, including women and children. We're talking of somewhere between 15 to 25,000 people. Then Jesus said, give them something to eat. And Philip came and said, Lord, even our whole bank account, 400 denarii, cannot feed all these people. The Lord said, what do you have? And Andrew found a boy with 5 loaves and 2 fish. Only 5 loaves and 2 fishes were enough to feed 25,000 people. He blessed, he broke the bread, he blessed the bread, broke the fish, blessed it, gave to the disciples, and everyone was fed. Guess what? There were 12 baskets left over. Why? Because they had more than what was needed to meet up the need of feeding such a great number of people. And that is your case right now. God has blessed you sumptuously. You have much more. Listen, your prayer alone is much more than anything you need in any crisis. Elijah was a man like us, subject to like passion like us. But he prayed and there was no rain for 3.5 years. He prayed again and there was rain. The effectual prayer of a righteous man is powerful and effective. Your fasting is much more than you need to come out of this situation. Another day of praise, another day of thanksgiving, just one extra day of worship is enough to turn the tides to your favor. You can still make it. You can still become better than the heathens that you admire and question the power of your God because of the heathens that looks like they are more successful than you are. God is still on the throne. That lunchbox with 5 loaves alone is more than enough. You and your servant or your friend alone against a whole host of the demonic, you are more than enough. You have much more on your disposal than you think. God has given you grace. All he wants is for you to open your mouth and pour out your heart to him. All what he wants is your fasting. All what he wants is to give you one rhema that upon obeying it, you split open the windows of heaven. And I pray for you today that God gives you a new level of faith, that you may begin to know that you are greater and you are more blessed than you think you are. Israel did not know that with their millions of livestock, they had much, much more than the war-free state of Moab had in their head of livestock, because they didn't know what they have. Same applies with many of you. You don't know what you are carrying. You don't know whose you are and before whom you walk. You don't know the God you go to church every Sunday to worship. You don't know the God you go to church every Saturday to worship. You don't really know who your God is. But I give you this and I say, God bless you.